Well, just basically doing the rough numbers as you're talking, we're talking about $1.8 trillion over a 30-year period. Now, everyone listening, how much would it cost for those programs that I just mentioned? Now, everyone at the same time, why do we have HST? Why do we have GST? Why do we have any form of provincial or federal tax at all? You know, what I would like to question every single listener as a Canadian, don't you have any backbone to stand up to the politicians and say, this is our country, this is our resources, this is what the people want, we want our social programs, we want them in place? You know, I'm a capitalist. I admit that. I fully admit that. I believe in free enterprise to a point. I don't believe in monopolies. I believe that anyone has a right to make money, but at the same time, when it comes to natural resources, I believe that the natural resources belong to the people, and the people should share, you know, at a fair number. We're talking maybe, 10% of what's being pulled out. The people should have that put into the public coffers where every single Canadian is entitled to a better life. Now, everyone listening, don't you want to start standing up for your rights? Don't you want to start standing up and saying, we are Canadians. We deserve this. And when I say Canadians, I mean anyone who's born here, anyone who's immigrated here, anyone who resides here. You are Canadian. Native American and non-Native Americans, we are brothers and sisters as we protect our nation of Canada. We have to stop squabbling amongst each other, stop pointing the finger at each other, and start standing together and protect our nation for ourselves. That's what I keep telling people. So what's your thoughts, Steve?
Well, it's just like, as you know, I spent about 12 days down in Australia, and I just got back on last Saturday from Australia, and the day before I left for there, I was on your radio program. And amazingly, when I was down in Australia, which is, of course, a Commonwealth just like Canada, I contacted the key people and the news medias and everybody down there concerning the corruption of all this. And amazingly how they basically had their eyes opened up how the Muslim religion is going massively into many different countries, like the Buddhists, like China, like Japanese, like India. And they're basically setting up little communities all over the Christian organization, the Christian countries, and basically bringing other religious secular operations into communities where they actually are very tightwad, they're very controlled, they're very much in the area of doing their own controls. And this is very, very much how the Mormon Church is operated. They basically get people to go back and bring they served on a Mormon missionary as a young person between 19 and 21, and they go out there and befriend, and amazingly how selective few come back there and marry into local families and basically set in the indoctrination of that through actually infiltration because of the mind control operation based out of Salt Lake City. It's just amazing to me what the MK Ultra, and you and I have talked about that in the past, where U.S. Congress passed a law back in the 50s basically to create the Manchurian Candidate, and how articulate the most success in this whole operation all throughout the world was with the Mormon Church because they were blindly obedient. So I do appreciate what your thought is about people sitting back, doing nothing, just sitting back and believing that all is well and everything is going to go. And what triggered me is that I basically sat down with my father and I says, okay, Dad, I've gathered all this information on my own nickel. I've set up my own operations out of my own pocket there in Lethbridge, up there in Lloydminster, over there in Vancouver. Okay, Dad, I have actually gone and talked to the people who you have been dealing with under the table. And you know what? They're so much happier to do everything so they can sleep at night. So the one beautiful thing that I believe that what you're doing, Reg, and your beautiful cry to wake up the people is basically say, let's have just open discussion. Let's basically have no more secrets, because the secrets is where the problem happens, because then you're accountable for something that you did not disclose. And so one beautiful thing about this conversation today after my trip to Australia is I had so many wonderful contacts down there to another Commonwealth country, and basically controlled by the Rothschilds, absolutely a dictatorship down there in Australia. And I was down there openly showing how Alan Bond, a billionaire, who came and stole the gold mine I bought from my own father, basically when I blew the whistle, guess who loses his billions? Alan Bond. This can happen to any person who has a secret deal and you know about it. The best way to do it is to make them be accountable, because then they can sleep well too. And I hope this is what you bring to John Q. Public up there, to stand up and basically say no more secrets.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm bringing right now there, Steve, because what happens is, as you know, you can personally witness that my wife and I have gone through massive persecution, massive intimidation's been done against us. We were exiled from Canada for almost 5 years of our life, just over writing a simple book, just over asking a few questions. They sent a veteran of the Canadian military. They stripped Canada from me. I came back, though, with the help of some people from Saskatchewan, some people from Ontario. Yep, I came back, and they asked me, these people that they helped bring me back, they said, well, why didn't you go over to Montreal? I came to British Columbia because I was born in British Columbia. I was raised in British Columbia. This is my land. This is my, basically, home. I came home to help my people, to help all Canadians. And I want everyone out there listening right now to realize you are a Canadian. It's time for us to join together as one. That's what I keep telling people. And, Steve, with that said, what I want to do is I want to take a quick break, throw in just a minute and a half piece, so that way people can, absorb what we said so far. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back. We're going to continue on with the next subject. I would just like to quickly remind people who listen to Co-op Radio 102.7 FM CFRO, Monday Brown Bagger. And I ask Steve, you please stay on the line, and we'll be back in about a minute and a half.